Under the guise of epidemic prevention, the Beijing Bureau of Economic and Information Technology promotes a health kit that monitor and collect citizen personal information.
In the midst of uncertainties in the South China Sea, Japanese media revealed a shelved plan by Abe in 2016 to cross the South China Sea.
The CCP official warned Australia that if Australia doesn't stop viewing China as a strategic threat, they will not answer their calls.
Forced demolitions in broad daylight. Obedient people get official citations.
Huang Jifu believes that more doctors, hospitals, and organ donation coordinators are needed to achieve the goal of being the largest country in organ donation. The source of organs
in response
is
to
in
an
his
onslaught of
consideration.
debt defaults, Liu He presided over a meeting of the Financial Committee of the State Council.
Chief Executive of Hong Kong said that the fourth wave of epidemic is coming and the Hong Kong government is prepared for it.
By 0000 hours on November 21st, Hong Kong reported 43 new confirmed COVID cases, the highest in a single day in 3 months.
The outbreak in Shanghai is getting worse. A large number of people are tested overnight for nucleic acid. The 2 newly confirmed cases of the virus in Shanghai on November 20 were a couple. 4,015 people were quarantined in the hospital where the wife was. The area where couples live are classified as a medium-risk area. 8,120 people were screened overnight. The epidemic in Shanghai is getting worse.
Inner Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, and Mongolia locked down due to the CCP-Virus. It's locked down, no entry, no exit. On November 21st, Internet News reported Mongolia being locked down. Railway passenger service has been closed. Staff of Mongolia International Passenger Terminal. All operations are suspended. Everyone's gone home. I'm the only one on duty here. We were told it was an outbreak. At about 8 or 9 o'clock, all trains that were sent out were called back. Mongolia is locked down. So is the train station. No one comes in, no one goes out. On the 21st, Inner Mongolia reported 2 new confirmed cases of local COVID infection, both in Mongolia. All transfer flights from Mongolia via Horhot were suspended.
A student died at the Yongzhou Vocational and Technology College in Hunan Province. His parents held banners to protest but were violently cracked down. They were beating people.
At the Guangdong Vocational Technical College, a student died of an unknown cause. His heartbroken parents held banners to protest but were ignored by the college.
The people are waking. Retired employees gathered at the Changsha city government to protest for unfair pension benefit between public servant and the private company.
The CCP made much propaganda about eliminating poverty. But do impoverished people like Yang Gailan disappear if the CCP chooses to just ignore them? Gansu province announced 75 counties were lifted out of poverty. During the news conference this morning, the provincial government announced that the last 8 deeply impoverished counties have been lifted out of poverty. So far, the 75 impoverished counties in our province are all out of poverty. Chen Litao, a villager of Shuguang village. The current policy is good. We pay after seeing the doctor. Health insurance also covers a large portion of medical expenses, so we pay less out of pockets. This effectively solves our problem of lacking medical access and expensive medical treatment.
The CCP's illegal police practices turned Hong Kong into a police state.
while looking at anomalies that could have been caused by voting machines, they're relying a lot, the campaign, on statistical analysis, right? And that's something that we saw the president actually tweet about today and talking about what they will present to the court. Today, he talked specifically about Michigan, tweeting out this graph from Justin Hart and saying, we'll use these charts in our court case. The election was a hoax. Thank you, Justin. Now, if you look more closely in another chart at the data here, it says that this is another view of the Michigan data. The arching lines are total cumulative vote adding up for the candidates between Tuesday and Wednesday in the week of the election. Notice the normal jump when a batch comes in for 57% for Biden, and the abnormal jump when it comes in at 96% for Biden. That happened at the 6:30 a.m. mark, according to this statistician. So that's something that the campaign keeps pointing out. And as you said, those Pennsylvania lawmakers had hoped to present kind of information like this to Dominion voting systems, along with other questions that their voters, they say their taxpayers have, to assuage any concerns about them. However, in the 11th hour last night, these representatives decided to lawyer up and not show up for a hearing today, begging the question from lawmakers in Pennsylvania, what are they hiding?
You could present a lot of evidence, whether it's data evidence or physical ballot evidence, and they seem to not want to hear it. How do you break through that if and when that evidence is provided?
Yeah, we break through that by going to the courts. That's why they exist. It's the third branch of government, the justice system. We have 234 pages of affidavits in Michigan of voters in one county saying this is what I observed. We have voters in Pennsylvania saying I showed up to vote, was told I couldn't cast my ballot because there is a mail-in ballot that was cast on my behalf that wasn't cast by me. These are real claims. They're systematic claims. And our justice system is where that will play out. And that's something that the media cannot get in the way of. They can try to hide it, but the American people are smart. The 73 million people who showed up to vote for this president, the most ever votes for a sitting president, they have a voice. We will be heard. The Tea Party movement made their voice heard. The Trump movement is now making our voice heard again, and we don't need the media by our side. We can do it without.
This year, we've marked the 75th anniversaries of the heroic Allied victories in World War II. Today, we remember a different kind of anniversary, the opening of the Nuremberg trials. The Nazis' war crimes and their atrocities in the concentration camps of the Holocaust can never be forgotten. As then, America remains vigilant, steadfast indeed, in upholding our highest ideals. We're grateful to our allies and partners who stand alongside us. Let's continue to learn the lessons of history and of Courtroom 600. Let's live up to the high standards of our nations established now 75 years ago. And let's speak out boldly against attacks on human dignity wherever we find them, be they the levels of evil of anti-Semitism and radical Islamic terrorism, or the Chinese Communist Party's repression in Xinjiang. Our work goes on. It's a privilege to do it alongside each of you.
Giuliani said there is not only evidence of fraud, but massive fraud in Wayne County, with many times the number of registered voters casting their ballots. The wildly contested battleground state, which Democrats have been calling for Joe Biden since election night, now appears to be up in the air, with odds favoring a Trump victory. So how did all this happen? Well, with ballot integrity under question in Michigan's most populous county, the two Republican members of Wayne's Board of Canvassers decided not to certify the vote on Tuesday. It was a huge decision, putting the state up for grabs again. But it also made the two Republicans, Monica Palmer and William Hartman, hugely unpopular among Democrats in the state. And what did the Democrats do? They proceeded to harass, intimidate, and even threaten the safety of Republican members, Palmer and Hartman, and their families, and even released information about where their children go to school. One woman at the meeting, Ashley Daniels, called them racists and went as far as threatening to come after their heads. Despite everything else that's going on, President Trump is still taking the time to call and check on the Wayne County canvassers and make sure they're okay. Chairwoman Monica Palmer says that President Trump reached out to her personally to make sure that she was safe after hearing about the threats and doxing against her and her family. Has Joe Biden called these canvassers to check and see if they're okay? No. He hasn't, because Joe Biden cares more about getting votes not if his people are intimidating and threatening innocent children to secure his victory.
There is more damning evidence in support of why Joe Biden amounts to a national security risk to this nation. China owns the man. That's my assessment. There is a reason we call him Beijing Biden. It's because it appears his allegiance is to his bank account over the American people. A supplement to the original Senate report on Biden's ties to communist China has now been released. And once again, it paints a very troubling picture. Senate investigators describe confidential records allegedly showing that a pair of $3 million wire transfers, a pair of them, were deposited in a Robinson Walker bank account back in 2017 by Shanghai-based State Energy HK Limited. You may remember the name Robinson Walker. He is the Biden business associate who whistleblower Tony Bobulinski claims can be heard on a phone call with him, warning Bobulinski not to go public about their business affairs with Hunter Biden.
The rest of this is just noise. You get diverted so easily. They want you to do that. What do you think this stuff is happening? Fox News today calls the Donald for the win a cyber criminal, guys, because you posted data in Wisconsin. Guess what? That's just more evidence that's coming out. They're trying to divert your attention by the shiny pony. Do not go to the noise. Stay on the signal. This is one of the most important times until now to December 14th in American history. And it's not Rudy, it's not Sidney Powell, it's not Steve Bannon, it's not Boris Epstein, it's not Matt Schlapp or Adam Laxalt. Yes, they're all players in this drama, but it's you, it's on your shoulders. If you're immovable, we will close on this victory. But the way to be immovable is focus on what's important and stop with the inter squad scrimmage stuff. This is every day is game day here. We can't scrimmage. You can't be talking. Go read the New York Times article. Tucker Carlson was heroic to put Dr. Yan on twice. Let's get the New York Times article up. I want everybody to read the New York Times article. They're in meltdown. You know why they're in meltdown? They go, the right-wing media guys like Bannon comboed with the diaspora of China. What do you hear every day? The deplorables and la Beijing. Deplorables and la Beijing and Gilets jaunes and the guys in India. That's what they're afraid of. That's what's going to stop the reset. Will you get focused and stop focusing on the little, like you're in junior high school gossip? Don't you see Tucker last night? You see what Tucker did? It was so terrible. Stop it. I'm tired of it. We're in a fight right now. We don't have time or energy to get diverted. Combination was a buried lead in the New York Times. Combination of the deplorables with real information, the diaspora of China, the Lao Beijing, old 100 names with real information. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to take down the Chinese Communist Party. It's going to break the back of the business model of the reset. Everybody, why are you talking about Matt Gaetz? Why aren't you talking about this and that and that? Grow up. Hold the line. Holding the line is not gasping. Did you hear what happened in third period today? Did you hear what they said? Did you hear what Sally said about you? She passed a note. Grow up. We're in a war right now. See that senator just gets on the plane? You think that's easy walking through that? When he comes back, how big is the crowd going to be? What are they doing to terrorize his kids? You saw the thing in Michigan the other day, right? They doxed the woman in the meeting, said where her kids went to high school. There are people that are putting their lives on the line. And we need you to focus. You're the key, not us, not Tucker, not Sidney Powell, not Rudy Giuliani, not the hair and makeup people at the press conference yesterday, right? It's you. Raheem Kassam.
Hi.
Hey.
I agree, by the way. The last things
And also people say, well, I don't care if I'm popular. I don't care if you like me. I'm not here to be liked. I could care less. If you like me, hate me, whatever. Just go to the information. Just go to the information. It's you. You're the only things important. Collectively, the deplorables. They understand your problem. Why are they trying to destroy Donald Trump? It's not for Donald Trump, quad Donald Trump. It's because of you. Why do you think they're trying to crush us all the time? It's because of you. So man up. Okay, Raheem.
Look, one of the last things I said last night about it was that in amongst all of the fussing that people were doing, at least it was, hey, I think this sucked. Hey, I think this didn't suck. Okay, have a nice time. Good night. Right? And that's the end of it. It's a new day. We move on to new detail. And here's some detail for you.
Okay, give it to me.
Let's go through this, because this is a really important story. Hasn't got enough traction yet, but the guys at Just the News have done an amazing job writing it up. John Solomon, Daniel Payne over at Just the News have an article up about a sworn statement from a prominent mathematician which has flagged up to 100,000 Pennsylvania ballots that may not have been counted in Republicans' favors. Now, let me walk you through this. This is a declaration, a sworn declaration under penalty of perjury from a professor of mathematics, Stephen J. Miller, Ph.D.
Yale University.
Received his B.S. in mathematics and physics from Yale University in 1996, his Ph.D. of mathematics from Princeton in 2002.
Wow.
Professor of mathematics at Williams College, but obviously making this in a personal capacity. What Professor Miller did is, using this data from Matt Brainerd's team, is go through phone bank data provided regarding responses to questions relating to mail ballot requests, returns, and related issues. So effectively, people were called and asked, was this you? Did you mail this ballot in? Was your vote counted? And I'll go through some of the detail with you in just a second, but the top lines of this story: estimate of ballots requested in the name of a registered Republican by someone other than that person, 40,875 to 53,909. That's his estimate.
Give that one again slowly.
So the estimated number of ballots that were requested in the name of a registered Republican by somebody who was not that person, 40,875 to 53,909. That's the estimate that they're pulling out from this data.
That's signal.
That's the first signal.
That's signal.
Here's the second signal. The estimate number of Republican ballots that the requester returned but were not counted, between 48,522 and 44,892. These go in the opposite order as previous. So Professor Miller is saying that the total number of ballots that were either requested by somebody other than the registered Republican or requested in return but not counted ranges between 89,397 and 98,801.
Wow. So what does that tell me?
Well, it tells you we need an audit, a full audit.
Communism, with its hooligan and demonic ways, cannot last long. It won't be able to go on. It has two fatal weaknesses. One, the age of information is here. Everything about its past will be exposed, one day at a time. Furthermore, its oppression and domination of the people, as well as the brainwashing, will always create an equal reaction in the opposite direction. The more it brainwashes, the more it oppresses. Once the firewall comes down, all hell will be unleashed onto it. So what does it depend on to survive? It can only depend on the biggest country in the world to support its oppressive firewall by long-term money transfer. This is what it wants to do in the USA. This is why it's the final battle. It definitely won't succeed, because otherwise the USA and mankind would be finished, and it will be our time to start worrying. So the showdown between capitalism and communism, currently evil has the upper hand. If evil doesn't have the upper hand, good won't win. In human history, it has always been that evil has the upper hand for a while. The forces of good have always been slow to react, passive, or at a disadvantage, or even in danger. But in the end, in a crisis and in the last minute, the good side wins. It has always been like this. In other words, the darker the night grows, as it gets darker and darker, suddenly dawn comes and the sun shines bright. The sun will rise. And the sun will always illuminate darkness, but the darkness cannot illuminate the sun.
Toronto, Canada's big city, is going into lockdown on Monday for at least 28 days to curb the spread of COVID-19. The number of U.S. coronavirus cases has surpassed 12 million. Hong Kong and Singapore postponed their quarantine-free air travel arrangement due to a spike in coronavirus infections in the Chinese city. Hong Kong recorded 43 new coronavirus cases on Saturday, the biggest daily jump in more than 3 months. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Saturday issued an emergency use authorization for Regeneron Pharmaceutical Inc. COVID-19 antibody therapy. CEO tells the media Moderna to charge $25 to $37 for COVID-19 vaccine. G20 leaders pledged to fund fair distribution of COVID-19 vaccines help poorest nations. UK signs a trade deal with Canada to prepare for Brexit.
Mama, are you okay over there? Your son is crying and missing you, and sees you in his dreams. You said take down the CCP, cause it's God's will, it's God's will. So I'm with you, and I'll see you when we end the CCP, yeah. So